and welcome back to the Dream Life Loading podcast. I'm your co host, Sky.
And I'm your co-host, Susan. How are you today, Sky?
I am good, Susan. We have finally hit fall weather. It literally, like, we woke up this morning and it was like, okay, it's fall. It's been like 75 and sunny for weeks and months, I guess, at that point. And today it was like 55 is the high, the air is crisp, the leaves are falling. It is fall. So I am feeling good. How about you?
I'm good. We're having a rainy fall day here today. It's giving early November, but it's all good. I got a chai latte today
Mm.
and I'm just comfy cozy.
I love the comfy cozy. It's like I have all these sweaters and all these like different fall things I want to be doing, and it's just been too hot, which it was so tough because it's like you don't want to complain about the heat because you know in 2 months we're gonna miss it so much. But it was also like we want to be doing it's always like the grass is greener, like you always want what you don't have. So we were really trying to enjoy the weather while we had it, but now I'm like, this is perfect. Like I love needing to put a sweater on. Like that is so
Yeah,
special. Which I
it
feel
is.
that is the perfect transition because putting my sweater on is like a little piece of magic in my day. It's like a little boost of joy.
Yes, it is. Which actually is why today's question we're going to put in the beginning because I believe that this is how you can always start your day with pure magic. So, what is your coffee order?
Oh, well, if I'm in the States, because like if I'm here, it's gonna be a cappuccino, but then if it's afternoon, I'll get judged if I have a cappuccino, so then I'll have to have a macchiato, which is never really what I want. But if I'm in the States, it would be probably, I feel like I change it up, but like what I'm thinking of right now is a venti iced coffee with the sweet cream, not the cold foam, just the sweet cream in it. And depending on the season, either like pumpkin sauce or toffee nut sauce, something like that. But we like the sweet cream and the cold brew. It's gonna be that vibe.
I love that. So mine differs on where I am. So if I'm at a local coffee shop, I'm getting a latte of any flavor, a hot one. But if I'm at Starbucks, I'm getting an iced drink. And right now, it has been an iced chai latte with pumpkin in it. But I do love an iced shaken espresso with cold foam and oat milk.
I remember for your wedding when we had all our coffee orders, I had a
Yeah.
venti ice shaken espresso with pumpkin sauce and vanilla sweet cream. Oh my God, it tastes like pumpkin pie. It's God, it's like 6 shots of espresso. It's insane.
It's so good. That's what I used to get an iced shaken espresso with pumpkin sauce and pumpkin cold foam.
Yum.
And that was delish. But I can't that caffeine like gets me like
Yes.
crazy these days. So I've really backed down my caffeine intake.
I have too, and I don't know how it changed. It's kind of insane. Like moving to Italy, I started drinking less caffeine, or I think it was more that caffeine started affecting me differently. So I usually,
Yeah.
it's like if I drink more than 1 cup a day, I'm like bouncing off the walls.
I liked it when I was in such a fast pace of like life in general, when I was like rushing to be like the most productive in like not even human like human. And now I'm just like, I don't need to be rushing around. Like I'm okay to
Yep.
just mosey along.
And like the anxiety of it, I think that was the hardest part for me. It was like I would
Yes.
really get like sweaty and shaky. It was like this is not worth staying up later. Like
And
there are so many better ways to make yourself stay up later.
it makes my stomach hurt. Like,
Yes.
why did I do that to myself for years? I'm pretty sure I was burning a hole in my stomach. Like,
And I feel like
uh,
I know I'm like so prone to headaches, but I was noticing like if I don't have caffeine, I'll get a headache, but if I have too much caffeine, that's
yeah,
arguably a worse
yeah,
headache. So it's
yes.
like, but then there are some days where like I was one day last week where I had 3 cups of coffee. I was like, this was a big day for me, but I needed it. It's like you just listen to yourself.
Absolutely. So, if you guys couldn't get the message from how we rushed into that, today's episode is all about magic in everyday life because there's magic all around you. And so, I'm assuming we both made giant lists
Yes.
of all the things that feel magical.
And I think this is such a special episode because I think this is so much about what we try to do with DLL is like find like perfect moments or like find like special moments in each day, even if it's like seemingly a mundane, normal Monday like today is. Like you can find little pieces of magic. And I think by magic, it's like habits that help like add spark into your day, or like little like pockets of peace. I know is like, like I think it doesn't have to be like magic, but it's things that make your day seem extra special that you can literally do every single day.
Or even make you just stop and be like, I'm so
Yeah.
grateful and happy.
Yes. Yeah, like very much like be present, appreciate. I think a lot of my list is like things that you can re remember to appreciate. I think we can get so caught up in like the day to day, and then you can kind of stop yourself and be like, "Oh my God, my morning cup of coffee, like this is magic. This is such a special, like you can really, if you choose to focus on things, you can find so much beauty." I think that's
Yeah.
the essence of this.
Yes. Because when you hype up the things you love, they become even
Yes,
more memorable.
that's it.
There we go. Let's get into our list.
Perfect. First thing.
My first thing was running. And I think it's because it's the first thing I do in the morning. And I just get like a runner's high. I was telling my sister the other day, I was like, I probably look like a psychopath because I'm literally running on the treadmill and I'm just grinning. I'm just smiling because it's something that I couldn't do for 2 years while I was hurt. And now that I can, I'm just so grateful to be able to do it, even though I'm sweaty and stinky and sometimes my legs hurt, but it's okay because you get that rush.
And I
And that's
think
bad.
it's a perfect thing to start with because that's something that I think a lot of people, myself included, if someone told me I have to go run, I would very much dread it. But I think for you, this was something, like you said, that you could not do for so long. So it's something that you appreciate being able to do. And I think that's what so many of these things can be looked at as. Like look at it from someone else's perspective. Like so and so can't do X, Y, and Z. So look at it from that perspective and appreciate the fact that you can and you have the
Yeah.
ability and the privilege to do these things. And I think I mean, we talk about this every single time. It's all about mindset. Like, think about even the way you're talking about running. It's your mindset that's making you like running, among other things. It's your mindset that's like putting you in that like grateful headspace.
Yeah, 100%.
My
What's
first,
yours?
it was skincare, which I think is funny because that's the first thing I do in the morning. Clearly, we were thinking about this throughout our day, but I love, and I put skincare routine because it's like I love my morning routine with like I always wake up and listen to Anna Kate's voice memo. It's like Nick knows if he's home in the morning, like he knows we're listening to Anne's memo first thing in the morning. It's like my own personal podcast. I do my skincare. I just like that to me is like if my skincare's done, my memo has been responded to, like I feel like I'm set up for success for the day and then I can continue on. But that's like the building blocks for me is like I'm taking this moment first thing in the morning where I'm dialed in on like my thing. Like I won't let myself jump into a project before that piece of my morning is done. It's like I'm taking the time for myself.
I love that. My next one was 6 to 7:30 a.m. And that's because that's my quality time with Chris. And
Yep.
like I just love it. I love like just sitting on the couch talking about nothing or watching a show. Like this morning we watched The Office and we just sat there giggling and it was a great start to the day. And I love, love, love that hour and a half.
I gotta say, I remember probably this time last year that you would get up at 4 a.m. and I would hear from you basically like 10 a.m. for me on the dot. I would hear from you, and then we would text basically nonstop throughout the entire day. And more recently, I haven't. I hear from you when you wake up, but then a few hours go by, and then I hear from you again at like 1 p.m. So you're 7 a.m. And I love that I don't hear from you. I miss it, but I love that I don't hear from you because I know that you're like you wake up so early and you should enjoy that time before you get into your day of like being on the clock and like being social with everybody else all day long. So I love that you take that time for you.
I don't even have my phone on me from 6:30 to 7:30. I leave it on the kitchen table. So it's accessible whether I'm in like if I'm coming from our room or if I'm in the living room, but I don't have it like during that time I don't even have it on me.
It's special.
It is. And it's I used to get so frustrated during that time because I wanted to go, go, go. And I was like, this guy is literally like a cinder block holding me back because this is the time I'm most productive. But quality time and putting time into my marriage is productive. And now it's one of my favorite. It takes some time, but now it's my favorite part of my day.
It's literally like this morning I set an alarm and Nick was like, "Why are you setting an alarm that early?" I was like, "Oh, I just want to get my day started." And you're like, "Whatever." And he even before we went to bed, he was like, "I don't know why you have an alarm set that early." And so my thought was like, "I'll get up before him and like get my day started."
Mhm.
And my alarm went off and I was like, "You know what? I'm not getting up. Like this is important. So we stayed in bed longer than we would have. And Nick was like, oh, I guess I didn't even hear your alarm. And I was like, no, I turned it off. Like I didn't want it to go off. And it meant so much to him. You know, it's the same thing with Chris. It's like those little things. Like I'll take the extra 20 minutes and have that time in the morning before jumping into like the go of the day and just
Yeah,
appreciate those little moments. It's like, okay, the 20 minutes of I could have done of work that I definitely will get done later in the day versus those 20 minutes where we're just with each other talking, like talking about our day, whatever, before we both get into the hectic pieces of the day. It's important to take that quality time.
absolutely. And if you're not living with your significant other, that could be quality time with yourself.
Oh, absolutely. I would like, I remember so many times that I would purposely wake up like way before my classes in college just so I could like have my morning. Like, I think watching TV in the morning, like you and Chris do this, and I love that you do it. There's
Yeah.
something so healing is the wrong word, but like it reminds me of like a Sunday morning when you were a kid watching
Yeah.
TV or whatever, like with your bowl of cereal or whatever. So I think there's something so special about just taking the time for yourself in the morning. I think that's literally like all the things we've talked about so far are that.
Yes, 100%. My next one was coffee, but I wrote that before I made the question of the day. So then my one after that is having a work from home career.
Mhm.
And I remember so distinctly, it was a day in January of, geez, what year is it? 2022. And I was supposed to go to work, within the next hour or so. And I was crying on my living room floor. And I was like, I don't want to go to work. Like, I just don't want to get in the car. I don't want to go. And I remember my body, like, literally feeling like every ounce of me was fighting walking out the door. And I was like, Chris asked me, he's like, well, what is your dream job? And I said, I want to be writing, I want to be working from home, and I want a flexible schedule. Those are the three things I want. I don't care what it is. I need something, someone, the universe to give me that because that's all I want to do. And then 6 months later, I interviewed and got the copywriting job. That was remote. And I didn't know that that's what I wanted to do, but it came and I'm so grateful to be able to work from home. Like, especially now that I go in office at least one day a week. This last week and this week I'm going in twice a week. It just makes me grateful that like I'm in my sweats 90% of the work week. And it's really nice. And I'm very grateful for being able to have that experience.
Yep, for sure. And I think the perspective of not having had it before allows you to really have that gratitude for it.
A lot of people's first response when I say I work from home or I'm partially remote is they're jealous.
Yep.
And it's like, yep, I get that because I felt that way, but it's not something that I take for granted because I
Yep.
know that I'm very lucky to be in a position that I can work from home.
And then the flip side of that, I see so many people that are like, I would hate working from home. I would get bored. I would get lonely. I would get like, I knew, oh my God, I can't even think of who it was. Someone who was working remote and chose to go back in office full time because they felt so lonely. And I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, my God, I would love, like, I would, if I never
I
go back
don't
to an office, I would be thrilled because I did internships in high school and in college where I was in like desk office and then in hotels and different things like that. And I agree, I very much enjoy, but I think it depends on your personality. Like you and I are
right.
both, we work well when we can tell ourselves what to do. Like, okay, you sit down at this time, you get this done. But I think a lot of people need the socialization aspect of it. And I think the introvert in both of us is like, I work so much better if I don't have you next to me. Like,
Yes.
so people are different. Everyone wants something different.
It's my social battery. And I
Yeah.
really picked up on it this week. I was like, I'm just exhausted. Like, I'm just so tired of peopling. Even if I don't people that much, just being surrounded by other people and like not being able to do literally whatever I want. Like, I can't be, having my podcast playing out loud when I'm in office. So, like, just little things like that. But
And I think
anyway, working from home.
there's such a stereotype with that, with like, oh, if you have your music playing, you're not working as hard, or like if you work from home, you're not working as hard. And it's like, well, like if you went into the office, I guarantee your productivity is so much lower than it would be if you're at home because
Mhm.
you are good at motivating yourself. But then some people, if they were at home, they would get distracted by everything and they actually do work better in office. So it's like we need to let the stigma go of like you have to be in office to work. And I think like if there was one good thing about the pandemic, that is maybe one thing is that we're seeing that people can work arguably better when they're in a space that they choose.
Yes.
So,
That's the one thing I wish I was portable. Like if I could go to a coffee shop,
yeah.
oh, the amount of work I'd be able to produce because I like it. The office had I like that there's noise, but it's not noisy enough. Like
Mhm.
I need it to be loud for me to like be able to really focus in and
That's why,
you know,
like, my comfort shows, I'll have Gilmore Girls on, like, most of the time when I'm working. And I know friends are
yep,
like, "Oh, I'm so jealous you can have TV on." I'm like, I couldn't tell you what happened the last four episodes. Like, it's not like I'm watching TV, you know? It's like, it's the
it's
noise.
a noise.
I'm with you 100%. I
Um,
had putting on an outfit you feel confident in. That for me
yes,
is like that is magic. Like especially if it's an outfit you like have planned in your head but you haven't seen it out like even looked at it yet or looked at it on you. It's like that is the best. When you put it on, it's like you feel good in it. It looks like you wanted it to and like that I that's magic to me.
100%. And then with the right pair of shoes that makes the
Yes.
perfect sound when you strut, 1000%. Doesn't get better than that. I've talked about this. We have a mezzanine where I work and it's a glass mezzanine. So it's like a glass catwalk. And the strut I have going across that thing is unmatched. And that is truly magical. I agree with that. That's a really good one. I love that one. Okay, so my next one was Dream Life Floating. I love this community. I love the name. I love the people that we have. I love what we're creating and how we're working towards things. And I love working with my best friend. So absolutely love that. That Dream Life Floating is
It's almost one that seems like we don't even need to say it out loud, but it is. It's kind of crazy to think about a year ago this company wasn't even a thought. Or
mhm,
it was a thought. It wasn't a thought that we realized was a thought, I think,
yeah.
a year ago. I don't know what
It was
today's.
just a saying that we said.
Yes. But it is kind of crazy. Like we are like well on our way to having our dream of being full-time working for ourselves and owning our own company. Like we are actually making it happen. And it is one of those things that like you forget. And it's like, oh yeah, we actually are doing this. And
Yeah.
that itself is but it's magic, but it's also like if you are listening to this and need like the proof or the reason or the sign to go out and just do it, like look at this, like we didn't even have this company a year ago and now we like are making money and like it's I don't even think it's about the money for us, but obviously if we do want to do this as full time, like money is a part of that. So the fact
Right.
that we are making money, we are feeling successful, we are actively gaining new members of our community and like making a difference, I think that is the biggest thing is like we are seeing reviews and comments from people that we are actively making a difference. And that is the whole point of this community, which is so freaking cool.
Yes. 100,000%.
I had, oh, journal brain dump. This is something that I
That's
don't
for mine.
much anymore. And I've really been trying to get back into journaling, but life's just been so busy, which isn't an excuse. But just sitting there and like my friend even suggested I did this last week, I think. She was like, just sit down and write about it. Like write out your thoughts. And it made such a big difference. I get like so caught up in my own head and just taking the time to like not even have a reason for journaling, but just like hand like pen in hand, paper on desk and you'll write so much and you'll like I realized things that I didn't even realize I was thinking. And then you let it all out and it's amazing how just letting it on paper clears it literally clears up the space in my brain. It's wild.
Yes. And it gets all the stuff that's like weighing on you that you don't
Yes,
even realize is weighing on you.
absolutely.
Yeah. Journaling was one of mine, and I also had new pens and fresh paper because there's something so magical about finding like that journal in the stack of new journals and busting it open and just that like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, I love it.
Oh, you know, like I obsess. I obsess about journals and paper. So I completely
Yeah.
agree. It's so
It
important.
might be my favorite thing to shop for. Like if I had to shop for one thing for the rest of my life,
Yep.
I think I would stationery. I love journals.
I can't wait. Like I love the accessibility of our iPad planning, which was one of my magic points that I wrote down, but I can't wait until the day when we design our own paper planners
Yeah.
because I love iPad planning and I think I will always use my iPad planner now, but I think I would use my iPad planner and a paper planner just
Yeah.
because it feels so good and it is like the aesthetic of it. It's like two different aesthetics. Like you have your iPad girly aesthetic and your like stationary paper girly aesthetic, and I love them both.
Yes. Yeah, you can't even compare the two because it's like oranges.
And I think that's a really good point is that you cannot compare it. Like it is kind of two separate things. Like what I use my iPad for, I almost wouldn't want for a paper planner. Like yes, it is almost the same design, but I think I would use both for different things, but I would want both. Like if I could find a paper planner that had what our iPad planner has, I would totally use both.
My iPad planning is definitely more like productivity and keeping myself organized, where my like handwritten journals are definitely like either on the fly, like really fast, and or emotional stuff.
Yes.
I don't like that pen to paper. There's something like, I don't know, romantic about it almost.
I would love like I would I think dream world we would design we have our iPad for like daily hourly productivity and then our paper I don't even know if journal is or planner is the right word. I would call it like a daily journal where it's almost like our take on the 5-minute journal where it's like you can put in
Yeah.
top 3 from the day and like these are the 3 things you must get done and like the 3 most important events of your day and then the rest is like super like emotional based like how did you feel today like your favorite from the day things like that. Oh my god, like doing that in the morning and at night, the dream life journal, I would love
Oh,
that.
it's coming.
Yeah,
It'll
I
be
know
here.
because I can see it like it's a hardcover
Yeah.
and it's pink and it's beautiful
Yes.
and I can see it. Yeah,
And it has
magic,
the
magic.
little bookmark. Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, this one's super random, but warm light bulbs. I
Oh,
did not know this was a thing, but Chris and I went shopping for light bulbs because we replaced all of the ones in the house, the LED ones, and they actually have shades. And warm is like a yellow glow. And
yep.
my everyone says when they come into my living, they're like, "It's so cozy in here," and I'm like, "The light bulbs, like, thank you."
Yep.
So yes, that one is magical because it gives a whole like essence to your room.
Yep, for sure. Thinking of the cozy vibe, I had pajama sets, which anytime I put on a pajama set, it's like you get out of the shower, it's like what do they call it? Like is that pipeline? Like the pipeline from like the full shower, the hair wash, and then the cozy pajama set.
Yeah.
Like it's perfect. And I feel so put together with a matching pajama set. You wake up, it's like I feel like you know what? I feel like I'm literally repeating myself from 2 weeks ago because I feel like you wake up like in the Barbie movie and your cute little matching set and then you go to bed the same way and it's just such an easy way to feel like magic, literally.
Yes. Well, I couldn't agree more. Um, Going off of that, quality throw pillows and blankets. There's nothing better than having a friend come over in dire need of some emotional support and you pour them a drink of any type and they can just nestle into your couch and you can tell that they are comfortable because of the supplies you gave them on your couch without them having to ask. I love that. I love being able to provide a comfy, cozy space for not just myself and Chris, but also for like the friends when they need it.
This wasn't even something I wrote down, but the way you were saying that, like I think what you were just saying was even more less about your blankets and pillows, but more about the home you've created and your ability to host. And that's
Yes.
something that we've only just started experiencing. But like with our Thanksgiving, it's like there's such a sense of pride in being able to provide for your friends and your family. So
Yeah.
we had these people over and we're like hosting them this meal that people actually enjoyed eating. And it was the same. It's like people are enjoying sitting on my couch. Like there's such a sense of pride in being able to like do something for other people that they actually appreciate versus them just being like, oh, yeah, that was nice. Like you can see the look on their faces. You can see the way they cuddle into your couch that like people are genuinely enjoying the thing that you've provided for them.
Yes. Absolutely.
Special. One thing I had written down, and this really does feel like magic to me, is scent and audio, scent and audio memory. And this is like, this actually to me really does feel like magic. Like when you smell something and it like brings you right back to another memory. Like I remember, I think the first experience with scent memory I had was I smelled a heat protectant, and I immediately was brought back to like being in fifth grade. And like I don't know if you used to do this too, but like I would sit in my room for like hours on end and like curl my hair and straighten my hair and crimp my hair and do all these different things like to not go anywhere. But it was just like, like you're growing up and
Learn
you're learning, exactly. But I would always use this one Tresemme heat protectant, and I sprayed it years later, and I was like brought back to it. Like I can still picture. It was like the craziest thing. You actually feel like you're traveling in time. Like it's and now I've like purposely started doing it. Like I have a perfume that like I wore every single day for my entire trip to Italy 2 years ago. So it's like I always brings me back. And I walked into the gym today and it brought me back to a year ago because it was like a very specific scent that I hadn't smelled. And I love scent memory. Like I think it's one of the coolest things ever.
I actually had that too. And I was thinking, I can still smell the UNH gym and not in a stinky way, but like I can remember that smell. My grandmother passed away when I was 6, and but she was like my favorite person. And was telling my mom, I was like, I don't remember her voice, but I have her perfume. And so I remember her smell.
It
And
is
candles. I had
It's
that
so
down.
special. And like my dad is like, we don't really get to light candles in the house anymore because of my mother's parrot. Um,
Oh,
yeah, but my dad he lights candles in his office all the time. So like he'll come home sometimes and I can smell like the specific Yankee Candle scents on him, and like it's one of the coolest things ever. I love there's some brand that makes candles and oils that are scented like Disney World. Like certain scents from Disney you could get like in your home. And I'm like, imagine the scent memory from that. 'Cause, like I haven't been to Disney in 10 years. So that it's just, I love stuff like that. It's so cool.
that is really cool. I have dancing because that's just magical. Like when you're on the dance floor and just like living your best life. And the first sip of champagne, I don't know what it is, but the first sip is always the best sip. And
Yep.
I think there's bubbles and it's just sparkly, but and you're usually celebrating something. It just feels magical.
Yep. I love that. I had finishing a book, and
I had that
oh,
too.
I love that. There is something like, and I think I will say this is one thing I miss about reading on paper and not on my Kindle, because it's so much less satisfying finishing a book on your Kindle because like nothing changes. But like it's still a satisfying feeling. But like if you are holding a book and you finish it, it's like book close, and you close it without putting a bookmark in for the first time in the entire reading process. It's like you feel so complete, and it's like you feel so accomplished, even though it's like this book it wasn't like you read it for a class, or even if you did whatever. But like I think if you choose to read for pleasure and you finish a book, it's like, look at me go, like I did this only because I wanted to and I accomplished this. I love that.
That is a really good one. Kind of in the same vein, but very specific. Hitting publish on a book.
Yeah.
Like my self-publishing, I think it's addictive. That's why I published 9, because hitting publish is just unmatched.
Yep. I think we get a little bit of that with our Etsy publishing. Every time we make a
Yeah.
new listing on Etsy, it's like, here we go again. It's a great feeling. Like you
Yeah,
feel so like you've been working on something for so long, and then you feel so proud to be able to share it with people that you really hope it's going to make a difference for.
absolutely. Yep.
Well, the whole episode has been favorites, but I think we should jump into our favorites of the week.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Yes, I have two this week. My first is our new mugs. I showed you them. I am obsessed. I think I've always wanted like big Gilmore Girls like bowl mugs basically, and we didn't have any here, and Nespresso sells some, but they're not big enough. And I was like, I want like a certain one, and we were in this awesome mall last week, and Nick actually spotted them and he was like, you need to come into this store, like I think I found them. And it was in Zara Home. Have you ever seen a Zara Home?
No.
I didn't even know this was a store, and it is like the most aesthetically pleasing. Like it looks like a showroom, but it's all like really reasonably priced. Like our mugs were €4 a piece, which was shocking to me because they look so high end, but they're like these big glass bowl mugs with ribbing, and It almost looks like a pumpkin, especially when you fill it with like the orange-ish coffee. So it feels good in your hand. That is magic to me, like when a coffee feels good in your hand. So my mugs. And then this is so funny, but I've been drinking water with pink Himalayan sea salt, which sounds so odd to like drink salt water, but I think it's helping my headaches because it's almost like I'm drinking electrolytes, but it's just
Yeah.
water with salt. And I think it's been helping. And it's like a little bit of flavor, but not really. So salt water and mugs, those are my favorites of the week.
Interesting. My favorite of the week is my new job. I start next week, but I am the content strategist and customer experience analyst, which is a really fun way of saying I run social media and I manage customer experience on our website, which I'm very excited. Not the DLL website, my other full-time job, but I'm very excited about it.
I'm so proud of you, and I think it's been amazing to see over the past year you continue to advocate for yourself and know what you deserve and like not settle until you get it. And I think I'm so proud. I cannot wait to see everything you do with this.
So excited. What is your quote of the week?
Okay, I didn't have a quote per se, but this is like a mindset. We've talked about this before, but I think only focus on things that are said to you. I think like we've talked about this so many times too, and it's so hard. Like if you're talking to someone and they're like, "Oh, so and so said this about you, and you should know this," and it's like, if it's not said to me, you cannot be focused on it because you never know, like even if it's a good thing, like even if someone says like, oh, so and so said they want you to come over at 6 p.m. and then you show up and they're like, I never said that. Like think about it that way, even because it could happen with gossip, it could happen with whatever, but like only focus on the things that are said to you. And then in the flip side, if someone says something to you about someone else, it's not for you. Like I think focusing on like your path with what people say to you, and like if someone's gossiping about you, don't worry about it unless they say it to your face. And I think there is so much, I think it's been such a freeing concept for me. I know for both of us when we've talked about this is like keep it out unless it's told to you, and like it's not worth your energy unless someone's choosing to share it with you.
Absolutely. It gets you out of all the anxiety
Yep.
of it.
Yep.
Mine is the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Mm, yep.
And I have found that you can work hard and not be racing around at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's been a great thing to see over the past couple weeks, month maybe at this point, but
yeah, I think since Chris got hurt or since Chris
yeah,
had surgery.
you can work just as hard without like feeling like your head's going a million miles an hour. Like
Yeah, and I feel like I'm making a lot less mistakes with going at a more even pace.
yeah, that's a really good point.
It's nice.
I love it. I
You
feel so
guys,
tired right now.
I know. I was like, I'm gonna work on DLL after this because like I'm so you guys know the drill. Leave us a review or comment on our Instagram if there's something you want us to talk about, and we will see you next week.
Thank you for listening.